Because so we've been talking, I was like, oh, now we
Oh my goodness, we've been talking all this time. What?
you
Oh
know,
no.
timing is everything.
Timing is everything.
Timing.
Apparently, we were meant to be live until now.
Thank you, Sonia.
Well, would you like to have a very short synopsis of who you are, just because now we're actually live?
Yeah, hi. My name is Christa, and my business name is Practical Astros. Emily and I have been just chatting away lovely for the last half an hour, and been telling her all about my life story, but you don't know because we haven't been live. So thank you, Sonia, for sending me the message that we actually weren't. So yeah, my name is Christa. I'm an astrologer. I'm based in the United States, and I guess we'll run through really quickly. I'm a Taurus Sun and Taurus Moon and Scorpio rising, and I was born with a balsamic moon. So my sun is in the third decan of Taurus. My moon is in the first decan of Taurus. Quite different stories there, but I am a middle degree Scorpio rising. So I'm in that Six of Cups decan. So hi, Emily. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining me. I'm sorry we didn't record. It's crazy. Oh, goodness me.
We have just gotten to know each other very well.
We
And that's
have.
what we
And it
need
was
to do.
such a beautiful conversation. And it's frustrating in a way that we didn't get to share that with all of you, a lot of anybody who might see us in future.
Well, I was mentioning that Mercury was right on my IC, and so I think that was like a mercurial trick to just be like, let's root you down a little bit into that Mercury connection before we actually get visibility. So the sun down there in my fourth house of Aquarius is like, let's just anchor you into this magical conversation with the Gemini sun. So I don't ever complain about that. My best friends are always Gemini. So.
And for anybody who doesn't know me, I am Emily Kalcher. I am from Emily Lunar Astrology, and I am an astrologer. I am an intuitive tarot card reader and a moon lover. And I love to help people to navigate their adversity through using the divination tools of tarot, astrology, and working with the lunar cycle. That's the short and sweet version.
Yeah. Yeah, who knows where we'll go now that we've covered a lot of ground. I can do a really quick bio because you did, like, prior to this, you sent like some really great questions that I'm looking forward to kind of getting into, mostly just about Aquarius season. I don't have any planets in Aquarius. I have my IC and my South Node there, and I've never really felt qualified to talk about Aquarius. And so I thought it was funny that that of all the guests in the world that you could choose, to talk about Aquarius, I would be one because I don't really necessarily feel qualified. But I do have my IC there. So there is some sort of sense of being rooted in this Aquarian ideal. A really truncated version of my my history is that I started reading about astrology when I was a teenager. I found astrology books adjacent to the fact that I was in charity shops and thrift stores to buy records. I was a big music fan, still am. And so I would go to the charity shops to find vinyl, and there were also a lot of books there. And so I found Linda Goodman and Jan Spiller books that were kind of my first introduction into just reading about astrology. But I didn't necessarily share that with anybody outside of like my high school friends and my really close girlfriends. And from that, I moved around the United States a good bit. I went out to the West Coast. I'm from the coastal South. And so in the West Coast, they have more of kind of like a weirder group of people than they do in the American South. And so I met astrologers there, which I didn't even know was a thing that you could do. And I found the Mountain Astrologer magazine. I understood a little bit more that it was like a practice that people had and that people used it. It wasn't until I moved back to the Southeast, I moved to Asheville, North Carolina, and I met my first astrology teacher. His name was Kelly Lee Phipps. He's since passed away, but he was a larger than life kind of astromaniac that truly, truly wild. He's Aquarius sun. Sagittarius rising. He was just larger than life. He still is in my mind. But he read my first Saturn return charts. First time I ever had my chart read was by Kelly. And then I took a eclipse class with him. It was about the Leo Aquarius axis. And he was just a great resource. And he also helped me. I was the book buyer at the store we worked at. And so he helped me curate the library that we had at this grocery store. We had like a really stellar esoteric library, mostly because of Kelly. He would just tell me, who to bring in. And so from that, I just continued to study. I guess I'm just trying to think of like what was on the recording. It probably wasn't, because we've only been on for a few minutes. What led me to now is that one of the other practices that I've had for most of my life has been working with plants and plant medicine and herbs and body care. And so I started making my just like kitchen body care. As a kid, I like to make like clay masks and fruit masks, like with papaya or raw honey. I've worked in the natural foods industry. So I work with a lot of natural products anyway. And when I started to make my own, I wanted to make this like really beautiful oil-based astrology balm. And when I knew enough about astrology to like choose fairly basic dignities of planets, but the more I made it, the more I realized that I had a lot more to learn. And so 2018, 2019, when I was crafting this, it really led me into learning more about what astrology was. And that kind of led me to schools. So I went to Nightlight Astrology School, learned all about like the massively complex dignities that planets can have, not just Jupiter and Pisces or Venus and Taurus, that there's a lot more that goes into it. And I kind of dropped the body care business and just fully went into astrology. And that mostly leads us up to where we are today. So.
Wow, well played. Thank you very much. There were nuances in there that we're basically talking about how everything in life is about cycles, and that some people understand about that and other people don't, and that actually we are living the astrology whether we realize it or not, because of the sun and because of the moon, and that people naturally have an affinity with the moon, and it draws on the waters within our body, and we've got quite a large water percentage of who we are. But actually, without the cycles to ground us and make us realize that, there's a new season coming up, it's very hard to feel like we're part of universe, part of nature. That actually we were looking also about how religions, whether they were there for good, for not so, for control, whatever it is, there's some emphasis that actually has a lot of Christian stories and a lot of astrology that is linked to those Christian stories, and you don't realize quite how much until you actually go up and look at the stars and the planets, the wandering stars, which is what the Greeks called planets. And it's kind of really cool that we've got that way of looking at it, and all the different ways that you can look at astrology, whether it's sun sign astrology, which you were talking about with Linda Goodman, astrology of the soul with Jan Spiller, and it's kind of all these different things, and realizing that we're just a small part of this. But if we look up, there's so much we can see, and a lot that we can actually integrate, and that we'll always be eternal students. Even though we are professional, because we've been to schools of astrology ourselves.
I mean, that's like the beauty of astrology, is that you can really keep learning. And once astrology has its hooks in you, then like you can choose to view it as like a curse of like, I'm never going to know enough, or you can just find yourself in time and space and be like, I know this much, and I'm just going to really love being in this space here. It is so cold right now. Sorry, I just keep thinking that the doors are open, getting colder and colder.
Oh, bless you.
I'll warn if my internet just like cuts off, it's because this winter storm that I'm experiencing. I went out and fed the birds first thing, just because I knew it was going to be there's a couple of inches of snow on the ground, and so animals was something that we had talked about prior to recording, so I get to repeat that. I've always worked with using animals as kind of just my buddies. Like I've always really loved animals. I've had animals, snakes and birds and fish and cats and dogs. But I grew up in the coastal South of the United States, and so I grew up playing with a lot of chthonic animals, mostly snakes and reptiles. I wanted to be a herpetologist when I was a kid. That was my first dream, is to work with reptiles because I just absolutely love them. And I dream about them a lot. And animals are very important characters in my dream life. As I've worked with my dreams, which when I was younger, the dreams were overwhelming and really I would classify them as just purely nightmares, which were very difficult to deal with. When I discovered that lucid dreaming was a thing, and was able to utilize it as like a dream meditation practice later in life, it helped really flip the script of my dream world, where it wasn't just terrifying, but it was something that was incredibly empowering. And to this day, like I love being an astrologer. I love being able to read for other people. But to me, my superpower is my dream life. Like there is just no other way around it. And it does influence my astrology practice big time. It influences how I set my house up and the animals that I engage with. I mean, it permeates my whole world. But the animals in particular are ones that, I didn't know what I was doing, but having kind of that ominous, meaning full of omens sort of relationship with animals, even as a young kid and even now, the animals are really, really vital for me. And I don't necessarily bring that into astrology readings unless people ask. I don't always bring all of my, when you go to a job, you don't bring like every sort of experience you have to it. But I have like a lot of weird experiences. And because I'm in my mid 40s, I was telling Emily, I have Uranus in the first house. And so for the first 40 years of my life, Uranus went through my underworld. It went through when it was in Sagittarius, and then it went down into Capricorn, and then it went to Aquarius, and then Pisces, and the Aries. And then when it went into Taurus, which is my 7th house, it crested that Western horizon and it became exposed. So all of that breakthrough, revolutionary, discordant, chaotic, like crazy madness that Uranus brings, as it crested and became angular again in my 7th house, it became visible. That's when I kind of came out of my astrology cocoon and I brought in all that weird stuff that I've done. I've been my own authentically awkward, weird self my whole life. Like I didn't realize that, a blessing of Uranus in the first is like, you don't realize how awkward and authentic you are because you just think that everyone else is also themselves. And when you know that there's a lot of performance that people feel like they have to put on, you don't have that. It's like, it's not neurodivergence. It's just Uranus in the first house. Like you just have no, like, you can't help it. Just be your own weird self. And I've luckily feel like I've always kind of had that. Now it's visible again. And it's like my astrology practice, I just do it my own way. I always have. I don't feel an obligation to do it any particular way except what's authentic to me. And so I bring my animal work, I bring my dream work, I bring my herbalism, I bring my natural feng shui, earth magic to it as well. But I don't give it to everybody, every client that comes through. A lot of it is just reading straight up natal chart, solar return, what's going to happen, how can I plan ahead. But I do have if you looked into my toolkit, it would be like a fantastical bag of weird esoteric material. And I like having that to kind of I like that I came out as an astrologer later because I do have a deep, rich history of life experience that I get to kind of pull from so that I can give people compassionate advice to be their authentic self and to take their time and to do things their own way and to find the medicine that works really well for them. Like I don't work with stones that much, but I, through one of my friends who I think is watching, she has taught me so much about working with stones and crystals. And so this is apatite and I love it for Aquarius. Just a really beautiful stone. And so like I'm adding that to my toolkit now. Oh yeah, you've got it behind you. Yeah.
And well, I have loads of stones, but I don't know whether oh, actually I do. No, that's Christa. No. I was oh. Hello. Hey Sonia, nice of you to join us. Sorry we're later than intended.
We're right on time, that's what it is.
Yeah. Yeah, what was I trying to say?
Appetite.
Oh yes, I might have appetite somewhere, but the stone I thought I had was appetite behind me was actually Christa, and I've also got celestite. Yes.
So I don't feel qualified to talk to other people about them yet, but like as I'm kind of adding that in to just my own experience, I get to just kind of add that to my toolkit, whether I share that with clients or not. But usually what I share with clients is my astrological knowledge.
Yeah.
And depending on where the reading goes, I will share other things with them. You know, most people just want something that they can kind of get their hands on and they wrap their minds around. And so like I will pull a tarot card if they're into it, or I will talk to them about plant medicine, you know, depending on what their issue is, because I think that plants are our allies for sure. And so I'll add it in, but yeah, that's the long and short of me becoming the astrologer that I am. And that will change too. You know, I'm going to change as an astrologer just as everyone's going to change. We were saying how like the moon changes face and position in the sky and phase. And that's why we love the moon so much, because the moon reflects our own changes that we experience on Earth. Yeah.
And would you like to pull a tarot card for
Sure.
the Leo full moon tomorrow? Anything we need to know today, and also in bulk tomorrow with the snow moon.
Yeah, for in bulk, I got the Devil.
Oh.
So I mean, the Devil is Capricorn, and the Devil for Capricorn for me is my third house. I guess it's your ninth because you're Taurus rising.
I'm 27 degrees Taurus rising, and my 8th house has my Capricorn being conjunct Mars.
Awesome, cool. I mean, for Capricorn as the Devil card is tricky because it's like, what is going on with that hunger that we see with the Devil card? Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, and so the idea of the sun itself is in Saturn's sign while we're in Aquarius with this Leo full moon. But more so with Imbolc, we were talking about Imbolc as being this midway point between the winter solstice and the spring equinox. So it's this middle point where we're in the middle of winter in the northern hemisphere. There's not a lot of signs of spring. It means in the belly. And so like there is this hope for fertility. And if this Devil card is anything, is also like a hope for fertility. It's like wanting to have the luxuries of like incarnate existence. That in itself can be kind of bondage. It can be a little bit of our own trappings for this life. For the Leo full moon specifically, though, I got the Knight of Cups. Which I like the Knight of Cups just as like a lover's card, you know, and maybe it's just been a theme of late, but people really starting to tune into their own appreciation of self and self-care and self-love, which I think is exactly what a Leo moon would want us to do. You know, sometimes we're born with these placements and they don't feel like they fit us. And I think that can be that's a blessing that you get to learn that lesson. And Leo moon, it's a fiery moon, and it can be so expressive and outward, but putting that illumination and that brilliance of back into self-care and self-love and appreciation for yourself, and not thinking that it's conceit or vanity, but actually it's self-preservation. Because if we fill our own cups first, then we're able to share out and spell that out for other. And the Knight of Cups is just such a dreamy action card of emotional overload, overflow, sharing. So that would be my message too, especially if you have a Leo moon, but all of us, is just to take the practice of filling your own cup so that you can restore yourself, so that you can be fully illuminating to those around you. Because it's hard, especially hard when it's cold and it's miserable and the news is kind of scary and the eclipses are coming, and you don't know if you're going to have health insurance or a job or food or like all these things. Like, they're like real legitimate things. But if you can just focus on filling your own cup, proverbially and literally, like staying hydrated, calming down that fiery moon, but filling that up in that kind of spiritual way, reading a really lovely love story or watching a good, Netflix series, whatever it is, it fills your own cup, just to kind of get that, like, take the moment to fill that. And don't let that be the bondage that comes through. Don't be bound to having to just meet all your physical needs, but do it in that more spiritual way. Because I like the Knight of Cups for the spiritual fulfillment as well as the self-care. That would be what I would say. What thoughts do you have on those?
Oh, I haven't pulled one, but I can do.
The devil is tricky.
oh, I see. Oh, my thoughts on the devil. Yeah, okay. So, yes, I do think about some things we bind ourselves to. We don't realize that actually we're making things more heavy and more hard than they need to be. And the devil lies in the details. What details are we remissing, or what are we not seeing, in order to try and actually not feel the weight of the world and what's weighing us down, which we could actually be delving into in a slightly lighter way, and realizing that we can unchain ourselves or unbind ourselves if we choose to.
Yeah,
because it's kind of like I think of like the Lovers is like a different version of it. The Lovers is, you're like, obviously you're there facing each other, fully vulnerable in a really bright, obvious way. And then the devil, you're binding yourselves to either an individual or yourself and the weight of society, without actually realizing that you have some control. You have a little bit more control than you realize. But I love the it was Knight of Cups, wasn't it? So having the Knight of Cups with it, it's like we're learning to see that we have the relationship with ourselves, that we don't have to be quite so overwhelmed, but the two together, it's kind of like, well, actually we're putting too much pressure on ourselves, but we're learning that relationships, we do have to fill that cup. We can't pour from an empty cup. And when we do learn to fill that cup, whether it's through things we enjoy, through people we spend time with, through allowing ourselves to listen to our intuition, and generally being within that receptacle, that actually we can have a more fulfilling life and feel better about it all. And full moons are all about celebration as well. So what am I doing for a full moon? I am going to aerial pentagram class. Celebrating my mentor, who is called Moon.
Oh, that's awesome. If get out on the roads, my sister is going to hold a bulk party, so we'll be burning things. If I can't leave my property, then I'll just burn in my own backyard.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Because we're also looking, well, in like Leo fashion, what are we celebrating? Are there some things that you're proud of right now in your life that you've either achieved or just generally being?
I've had some, like, Leo is my 10th house, and I'm in a solar 10th house perfection year. And so I've had some big changes in the last 4 months of what I do for work. And it's really coming into trusting that being an astrologer is exactly where I need to be. I've whittled down all of my other work so that I can focus and spend more time doing this. And so really any chance that I have to read astrology or tarot for people, it just feels like I'm like, I get to do this. It's really, to me, that's the most successful thing, is like to be able to offer a service to people that I find valuable and to have them find it valuable too. And so, I mean, I've done like lectures, and I published an article last year that I'm really proud of, that I wrote about going to Ireland and going to Newcastle, or not Newcastle, Newgrange, Brunabron, and writing about my experience there. I got to interview Ren Butler, really lovely astrologer, and he's going to include some excerpts that I wrote into his new book. So like, that's phenomenal.
Wow.
But honestly, it's like, I get to do this for a living, and it's like I would do it whether I was paid or not. And so I need to just kind of sit with that, of like being proud to just do this work, because it's just awesome. I mean, it's so much fun to do. And I love that people have the experience that they do through the channeling of divination. And so that's kind of like what I'm celebrating. I'm also going to be lecturing at UAC. I get to do a lunch lecture in Chicago, which is awesome. I'm going to do it on grimoires, on astrological grimoires, which brings in my plant work and brings in all of the witchy work that I already do, and just talk about it through an astrological lens. And then I'll be speaking for OPA and ESAR this year too. So some like big stuff, but it's like, that doesn't really matter if like the client work isn't always there. Because to me, the client work is like, that's what roots me to the divination practice to begin with. So there's like shiny bits, but there's also like the real nitty gritty, which, you know, I've got that Saturn Decan Taurus sun. So it's like, it has to come back to like the actual work that I'm doing, the very practical service that I'm offering. And to me, that's like the one thing that's like the hearth fire, that Vestia energy is that client work.
Yeah, beautiful. Because actually that is very, from what I've seen of your work, that is very you. It's the fairy tale, the storytelling, the delving deeper, the looking at the intuition and the witchiness and all the kind of elemental work and everything put together. It's beautiful.
It's me. Yeah.
I always ask people this. So how do you manifest your dreams into reality and stay consistent with your work that you're doing?
I have lots of notebooks. I write things down. There's like so much power in words. Like to cast a spell is just a spell, just to write it down. And I did that even before I kind of understood the power of words and how powerful words are. Writing them down and saying them out loud. But you can't see it, but behind my laptop is a whiteboard that I have all of my little things just to stay focused on. And then just stacks of notebooks where I write. So sometimes things fall through the cracks, but for the most part, if I want to do something, I just put my head down and I just stay. I just steward it and I tend to it, and I'm just stubbornly good that way. And it doesn't always come true, but you know, the answer is always no until you ask. And so I just ask myself all the time, like, do you want to keep doing this? Do you want to pass it on to someone else? Do you want to just go bury it in the compost? You know, like, you don't have to finish everything you started, but I'd like to. If I start something, I like to see it come through. But so mostly is I just write things down and I write about them and I write about my process. And on my Substack, I started sharing that process more. And whenever I do, I'll be writing something and be like, who wants to read this? This is like, so just, this is the behind the scenes of like how I got to this point. Whenever I do that, people are instantly, they respond to it. It's because I'm just sharing it like without the motivation of like, this is the perfect post. It's like, this is just my nitty gritty of what I'm doing. And people respond to that authenticity. So I think that if everyone just did their best to always just be authentically themselves, it's really hard to do because you always want to perform to some degree, but you get so much more of yourself realized. You get more things done if you're just honestly, just unapologetically yourself. And it's way easier said than done, but it's just been kind of like a lifelong practice for me. So that's what I do. I write it down.
Yeah. authenticity, integrity, all of that is something that I really live by. But again, I do try and probably do too much of the perfectionism thing of right, well, I know that if I do a new moon and a full moon blog, that they're always going to have all the things. So they have the chakra work, they have the lunar gestation cycles, they have so which house does this fall for you, and here's a little bit of information. They have some crystals to work with, they have all these other things, and they'll have some yoga practice to do, some breath work, pranayama stuff. They're all these little things, like take what resonates with you, leave the rest, and it's kind of all within the paywall, because actually what I offer shouldn't be for free. But until that grows, I'm just going to carry on doing it. But at the same token, it would be a good idea probably to put a few things out that are just a stream of consciousness and don't have to be perfect, and maybe some of them aren't behind a paywall, so people can realize, well, this is who she is. Without seeing who I am on YouTube or wherever else I am.
Yeah,
I need to drop some perfectionism.
It's hard, because you want to, especially if you take it, if you take it seriously, if you want it to be like the problem with an idealism versus a reality is that once you take something out of the ideal realm, it cannot be ideal anymore. And so it's like you're birthing this idea into like tangible words, and there's going to be misspellings. I always have like a stupid misspelling, and it's kind of like, well, that shows you that I did not write this on AI. This shows you that I like made the mistake. This is that human. And there's this, I've always taken photographs, and I take them less now with like actual camera, but when I would take film photographs, some of the really good stuff was like when there was a little bit of fuzz or dirt in the processing of the film. It's like, yes, it was a mistake, but it gave it that like humanity, and it let you know like that was a real thing. And to see things that are idealized and perfect, especially with like an AI image, we can't identify ourselves in it because it's too perfect. We can't sympathize with something. It's like, it's exactly what I imagine, and I don't like it. It's too sweet, or it's too soft, or it's too vivid. It's like I can't ever live up to that ideal. And so when you write something that it's still going to be 99% perfect, but that one little bit of like misspelling, or maybe you said things exactly backwards that you intended to, that's like where the good stuff is, right? That's like the humanity of it. And people read that and they might be like, oh, I wonder if she knows that she misspelled it. But deep down, they're like, but she wrote it. She took the time to write it. And all of that information, like that is so much information to include in a twice a month post, to have all of that motivation, all that care and stewarding all of that beautiful information. It's not going to be perfect. And that's what makes it great, is because it's not shiny and we aren't that way, like I need a pedicure so bad, but it's like, it doesn't ruin my day. It's like that, what makes me human. I get to look forward to the next time that I can have a pedicure. It's like, nothing is ever going to be exactly perfect by the book. It's going to be perfectly who you are at the moment. So share your process. Like I love reading that sort of a thing, because it's like it shows that you're doing your work, right? It's like, I am motivated to share all of this information, and I want people to pay me for it because I value it, but I'm also willing to give it to you for free because I want you to have access to it. So it's like you're just generating that sort of connection to people through all of that channeling that you do. And it's inspiring to watch that process. And whenever I write like that, like I'm like, F it, I'm just going to share it right now. Just put it out there, not even going to spell check. I get so much immediate heart response from those posts that tells me, when that inspiration comes through, just follow it and edit it later. Go fix your mistake, after it posts. It's like, don't worry about it being perfect. It's like timing is everything. And when that spirit comes through, especially through writing, like write it out and send it out to the world. So it's almost like the wind comes through you and blows through you like a vessel, and just you either got to capture it or you got to let some other writer catch it, because it's not going to come back around when it's convenient for you.
Yeah, that's the magic there.
Yep.
Is there anything else you want to share, Christa? Because I do value your time, and I know you've been here a lot longer than what people can see.
Let's see. What did we talk about that I wanted to repeat? I think it was around the wheel of the year and how we aren't necessarily connected to earthly cycles as much, and how astrology especially can reconnect us to those earthly cycles. So this is just like this running theory that I have, that, you know, before electrified light, we were kind of forced to be connected to the sun, whether we liked it or not, right? And so when we would rise with the sun, we would go indoors when the sun went asleep, so to speak, and we used candles and we used other light. But electrified light really changed our exposure to light, which really means that it changed our comfort with darkness. And using things with limited light, that's just a tangent that I guess I won't go down. What my point is that in the last 150 years, we have gotten further and further away of just being a part of natural cycles, from the Industrial Revolution and through kind of capitalism as like a insatiable beast. Like everything is capital, right? Every sort of thing. We were just talking about capitalizing our words because like we live in a capitalist world, right? Like that in itself it disconnects us every single time from just experiencing nature, which we are nature too, right?
Yeah.
So using astrology as a way to reconnect you to natural cycles, it helps reify our relationship to the nature that we are a part of. And like I was, before we hit record, I was like, you know, you see Cadbury eggs in the shops and you know it's Easter. But before that, before it was like financially related, you would see crocuses starting to poke out of the snow. You would see daffodils. You would see big fat robins that were about to lay their eggs. Like that would be your signal that spring was coming, that Imbolc was coming. You would have these like natural signals to connect you as a natural animal on Earth, also participating in these cycles. We have kind of replaced that with a capital exchange. But it doesn't mean that we can't also reconnect with fat robins and crocuses and daffodils. But a way to bring back those natural cycles is astrology, like particularly astrology, because astrology is the study of light. It's a study of time. It's a study of our experience collectively in the mundane interpretations of transits, but also in the personal experience of our own charts with these transits. That I think that if you feel disconnected from the world, if you feel disconnected, even though you and I are in different countries, different continents, we're exchanging through technology that it was unavailable, you know, decades before, really. You know, we get to take advantage of this and reconnect ourselves to these natural cycles. And so if anything, if people feel that hunger for wanting to connect to nature again, I think looking at astrology is a way to do it. And you can do it just by knowing your own chart. You can do it by following the transits every single day. If you write down the transits every day, you see how incredibly fast the moon goes. Like you don't think that the moon's like a fastie, but it is so fast. When you write it down every day, you see how quickly it goes through. And then you see how slow the other planets are. And then you get to understand the speed of a stationing planet when it goes retrograde. And when these planets are like hanging out with each other for months and months and months, like Saturn and Neptune are about to be. Like you start to see these, you see it yourself. And that kind of weaves in those natural cycles. And I just think that that's such good medicine for us as animals, as humans, to reconnect ourselves to cycles. And if you live in a city, you don't have a lot of exposure to, like I have a wren like a foot away from me because I have one of those little feeders that sits on the window. I have lots of animals around me. I'm in the woods. So like I do have that exposure. But if you don't have that, you can still do that through the astrology, through the watching the skies. And I just think that that's such I think everyone can benefit from it. And then if you get lost, you can reach out to astrologers like myself or Emily, you know, because we have spent a lot of our life studying this and we can help interpret that. But you can also just get it yourself. Like you can look up to the sky, you can see the moon and Jupiter together. You can see it with your own eyes. You don't need any other technology but sight. And I work with a blind client. Like, they cannot see the stars themselves, but they can still understand the relationships. They can still understand the stories. So they do not have sight, but they can still be a part of those natural cycles. But if you are not blind, you can see it with your own eyes. No one else has to tell you what it's going to be. You can start to witness that. You can start to develop your own story and your own relationship. And to me, that's what it's like. The people's medicine is being able to engage with astrology and nature around us. It's just such like a power tool that we get to use. So that's what I wanted to share.
Yeah. For anybody who doesn't know the timings, the full moon in Leo is at 2:09 tomorrow, well, on the 1st of February in LA, 17:09 in New York on the 1st of Feb, 22:09 on the 1st of Feb in London, 09:09 on the 2nd of Feb in Sydney. Yes, so we have a Leo full moon, which is what we've kind of been touching on. And we did also talk about how the card that we associate with Aquarius itself is the star card, and it's my favorite card. And we were talking about how it looks at Pleiades star constellation and the pouring of compassion back into society, like what is in those jugs. Although Aquarius is the air sign, we are still looking at compassion and intuition and things, because that's what's being held in that space, space of compassion. And it's the innovators, the inventors, the scientists, the you name it, the rebellions, all these kind of people that hold the collective together in various different ways. That's what I love about Aquarius.
Yeah.
Right.
Do you have any final words just on Aquarius in general? I mean, I know we started off that way, but we're right in the middle of Aquarius season. So just thought maybe we could give a minute to the sun. Bring it into the spotlight, which I know that Aquarius doesn't necessarily want to be, but Aquarius is being Saturn ruled, so Aquarius being kind of that outsider. I think of if there's like a field, and the far edge of the field, there's a fence, like that's the edge that Saturn likes to be on. And then just beyond the fence is like where Aquarius has escaped because it doesn't want anybody to bother it. So that's kind of how I imagine Aquarius. But so much like Aquarius as a fixed sign of being that one that really holds and sustains the light, and being that air sign, that intellectual. I find that Aquarius placements just have such a strong fidelity to ideas that can last, that they will be willing to try on any sort of eccentric idea if it feels like it has some sort of longevity to it. So it's not just like a wild hair scheme that maybe like Gemini would or Aries would, but it's like, I feel like that could work, and that could work better than all the things that came before it. And I really appreciate that about Aquarius. It's not beholden to any sort of performance like maybe Leo is. It's more about like what's actually going to make systems work better. And I really like that for Aquarius. And just in the world now, like we're looking at in a kind of a global way of like, how do our systems work for people and for governments and for money? Like even just the idea of cryptocurrency feels very Aquarian, because it's really changing the way that we exchange value, the way that we exchange our own work for money. It feels like kind of an Aquarian thing. We're kind of figuring that out, and maybe that's the Pluto in Aquarius. It's like just redefining that wealth that Pluto can represent in an Aquarius theme. But I comically give all of my Aquarius moons. I kind of joke around of like I get cursed by being around so many Aquarius moons, and I don't understand them, but I really appreciate Aquarius moons in particular. But just to give some love for Aquarius placements, like force them into the spotlight so that we can give them some love. I just wanted to do that before we signed off.
Yeah, I know an Aquarius sun, and she's pretty cool. But at the same token, Yeah, you'll see her for months and months, constantly for a while, and then she'll be off doing something. You think,
Mhm.
where did she go?
Yeah.
Some like otherworldly plane or something. It's kind
Yeah.
of you're busy doing something for someone else, and then you're finding that you need to integrate, and you're alone somewhere, and then you're coming back out and sharing all of that wisdom that you've gathered, and trying to put the betterment in the changes for society. It's not just, oh, I'm doing this to feel good for myself. It's like, well, actually, I want to share the collective. I want to actually make things work, and I want to actually only rebel if there's space to rebel and the need to. Otherwise, it's a kind of, right, well, what can I share and give back? Because the collective is important, embracing our individuality is important. But also, although we are all individuals navigating life as a collective still as well. It's kind of, I love that.
Yeah, we've got right now the Sun and Mars and Pluto and Venus and Mercury in Aquarius. So it's a lot of Aquarian energy right now.
Yeah, all opposed by the Leo full moon tomorrow.
Yeah.
Well, actually, we still need to be proud and show up for ourselves, the ability to be seen and heard, but also realize that it's not just us. We are still here with other people.
Yeah, and the eclipse that's happening, I guess to wrap up, I can talk a little bit about that because today is January 31st. On February 5th, the Astera Sophia Kairos, the astrology collective that I'm a part of, we're hosting like an eclipse salon. So it's more of just like a discussion around the eclipse. The eclipse is happening on February 17th. It's going to be the new moon of Aquarius at like 28 degrees, I think. The North Node's going to still be in Pisces, but it's close enough to be classified as an eclipse. It's a partial eclipse. It's called an out-of-sign eclipse because the node is in one sign while the lunation is in another. And this is the first eclipse in the Aquarius-Leo axis that we've had since, about 9 years, because they take about 9 years to go halfway through, 18 years for a full cycle. And so my collective, we're going to be just talking about Aquarian themes, really focusing on the Aquarius part of it. In August, there's going to be a new moon in Leo, so it will bring in more of the balance between Aquarius and Leo. This one that's coming up on the 17th is going to be in Aquarius really fully. So on the 5th, a few weeks before, we're going to just have a discussion about what that means, how to kind of view it in your own life, how to set yourself up for it, what you can do for an eclipse, what you can maybe not do for an eclipse, but just talk about it in a broader scale. And I can, if you go to practicalastros.com or any of my socials, I'm putting that up there. You can, if you are a paid subscriber to any of the collective's Substack, then you get an invitation automatically. It's just included in your membership. But on our Ko-fi, you can also just purchase a single ticket. It's only $9 to just go in and visit, listen to it. We have a download workbook that you can kind of fill in for yourself with your own stuff. But this collective that I'm a part of, we really focused on eclipses as being these like fated crossroad points of looking at your chart within the eclipse axis, because so much really does change. And sometimes it's better to look in hindsight of how eclipses have really affected you. We like to look at it on the front end to see like, what can we look forward to with this eclipse? And this eclipse in Aquarius, it's subtle because it's an out-of-sign eclipse, but it's very magical. It's like a really, really special moment. And so we're having this full moon in Leo, but then 2 weeks later, we're going to have the new moon in Aquarius, and that's going to be the eclipse point. So if you just go to practicalastros.com or any of the socials, then you can read more about it. But even if you don't join us, I would encourage you to look and see where this eclipse is happening in your own chart and start thinking about kind of what fate what new fate might be written in that house of your chart, because eclipses don't sleep on eclipses. They are very, very powerful moments in our calendar.
Yeah, supercharged for sure. Well, thank you so much for joining me,
of course.
Christa. And if this conversation has been valuable to people watching or who see this via my Spotify or Substack when I put it down there afterwards, or any clips on social media, then by all means, please do like, subscribe, and share with people you might find will enjoy this as well. And please do go ahead and follow Christa through Practical Astros and all her juiciness on her Substack and any courses and things that she has, and lots of other stuff that she shares with people so generously.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Emily.
Right, I'll sign off now, but you're welcome to stay behind the scene for a little bit if you want to. All right, bye everyone.
Bye.